a child with lots of love. Lots of love, lots of love, lots of love, lots of love.
Are you watching closely? Every great magic trick has 3 parts, or acts. First, the vow, or pledge. You show them something ordinary. Then the turn. You make that ordinary thing disappear. But you wouldn't clap yet, because making something disappear is not enough. You have to bring it back. That's why every magic trick contains the 3rd act, the hardest part. This part, we call it the hardest part. We call this part the prestige. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, viewers of Sukai Todd's Thoughts. I am Sukai Todd, the one and only Sukai Todd. No duplicates to be found. Yes, this review contains heavy spoilers. You were not warned, but if you read the description and title, you probably were. Also, this movie came out in 2006, so if you haven't watched it yet, and you don't want to be any further spoiled with it, watch it, then come back to this later. Thank you. Okay, for those who have seen the movie, let's get into it. Firstly, I must praise the writing, Christopher Nolan and Jonathan Nolan, the brothers, perhaps twins who wrote it. Secondly, Scarlett Johansson as Olivia. She did really well. The lady from Iron Man 2 also did a great job. I forget her name, but she was brilliant as Sarah. Batman, The Dark Knight, Fallon and Alfred Borden. They both did brilliantly. And for the one I have the most mixed emotions about, Hugh Jackman, aka the Great Danton, the greatest showman himself, Robert Angier. Which, fun fact before we get into it, Angier, the French name, by the way, is French for God's spear. Yeah, fun fact. I just thought that was cool. I was just gonna add that anyway. Okay, so this isn't gonna be a huge deep dive, as much as I'd love to make an hour video. I don't have enough space on my computer for it yet, so sorry. But yeah. Also, a major shout out to Alfred, my Alfred, technically Christian Bale's Alfred, who played Kata, Alfred who played Kata. Yeah, he was great. I forget his name, probably how the movie does that to me, but yeah, it'll come to me by the time I'm done with this review. But yeah, Alfred as Kata, he did a great job. And of course, Hugh Jackman as Robert Angier, the Great Danton, also Lord Caldwell. And the late great David Bowie as Nikola Tesla, the creator of the machine. As well as the current Alfred, Battinson's Alfred, as Allie, or Tally, whatever. Tesla's assistant, more or less. That guy. He was great too. He was also Claw in Black Panther, the first Black Panther, so that was cool. But yeah, he was a great character. He's a great actor. Shout out to those actors whose names slipped my mind. But yeah, and it still hurts that David Bowie is no longer with us. But he lives on in the great works he's achieved, including his acting, especially in this, in my opinion, highly underrated film. Now, I know every Christopher Nolan fan, casual like me or not, has a film that they're like, it's the most underrated film he's ever done. Like, I get it. Okay, I've been in the fandoms. Been past tense. The Prestige is highly underrated still. And I think what makes it so unique for me is that it's very subjective in the storytelling. Like, yes, it's non-linear, which is Chris Nolan at his best, and it feels almost historical in a way. And in cinematic history, I think it plays an important role in terms of introducing, the idea of illusions, magicians, and competition between said ideas. If you've ever heard of the movie Now You See Me, I'm still disappointed in The Boy Who Lived for that film. But I digress. Although it got better reviews than The Prestige at the time, but either way. I personally think that you can watch the movie multiple times and get a different perspective on each character and each part of the story every time. And that's what makes it so brilliant. And a fun fact about the last scene in the film, where Kata says, "You want to be fooled." I noticed this in my most recent watch of it, which I will not specify when. The final duplicate or clone that was dead of Engia, I thought his eyes were closed, but in the end, the eyes opened. When I saw that, oh my god, like I leaned back in my chair, I was like, oh my god, since I don't have the money to sample that actual clip slash meme slash gif, but no, really, it was an oh my god type of moment. I was like, hold up, one of them is living, and I'm not saying that that necessarily meant that copy slash clone of Angia that was in the tank had its eyes open was actually living. I think it may have been more of a nod to the book, where the clones of Angier turned out to be really freaking scary. Whereas in the film they didn't do that type. Well, in a way they explored it, but not in the same way. Chris Nolan did make it his own, and that's the point of when you secure the rights for a book. I'm not gonna name any YouTube channel names, but I don't think it was lost in adaptation. I think it was really brilliant. Not hating, just stating. I think it was one of my favorite films ever made, and one of the best Chris Nolan films ever made, and it's extremely underrated. I know it's rising in popularity again now, because Mr. Jackman himself is in Deadpool 3, which, yay for him. But I wasn't in the mood to see him being a superhero. I'd rather see him be a competitive magician asshole. Because that's the gist of his character. And a Bolden. Although Bolden's brother, Fallon, was actually quite enjoyable to watch to some extent. They were both quite enjoyable to watch. And before anyone asks, yes, I know that Christian Bale played both Borden and Fallon. I know that. That's what makes him such a great actor. I mean, he's technically playing the same character, but in a different way. But that's what made it so interesting. He was able to play two versions of the same man, essentially, because they were twins, which I thought was brilliant. Brilliantly done, brilliantly written. And kind of a nice nod to the fact that Chris Nolan and Jonathan Nolan are brothers, in my opinion. But yes, it's a great movie. 10 out of 10, 2000 out of 10, 2026 out of 2026. Highly rated film, in my opinion. Like, for me, I rate it very highly in terms of favorite films and movies. But I think my issue with it is I have mixed feelings about the actor Hugh Jackman, and that's all I'm gonna say. Because he, after watching it as recently as I did after what happened with Deadpool 3 before it released, I have some mixed emotions, but I've already addressed that, so I'll end it with this. Every great magic trick has 3 parts, or acts. The pledge, the turn. But no one's clapping yet, because it's not enough to make something disappear. You have to bring it back. Of course, you want to know the secret, but you won't figure it out, because of course, you're not really looking. You don't really want to know. You want to be fooled. That's why every magic trick contains the hardest part. The part we call the prestige.
Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot pretend again. If you choose to stay, so be it. Let it be upon you. You fools.